All right, here we go. So anyone watching this, just want to be clear. I'm on my design PC only has two monitors, so it's going to be hard for me to see chat because I've got Facebook, not Facebook. I've got Photoshop open on one side, and I've got iRacing open on the other. To make sure to make sure that I know I can see everything that's going on. So anybody who chats, I'm not gonna see your chats very well. I've got the stream open on my phone. So hopefully I can see some of it, but I also don't have anything to stand my phone up on. So yeah, I'm not going to see things clearly if there is any chat. Just just be clear, I'm not ignoring anyone. Things are happening. So I've already got a warning here about my bit rate. So let's see if I can change that on the fly. No, I can't. So yeah, it's okay. So I got a warning from OBS right as I started the stream that the encoder had changed, and when I changed the encoder, I guess it changed the bit rate. And so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I've also got my music turned off from the stream because I don't want the video taken down or blocked or anything. So I do like listening to music while I paint. You guys won't hear any of that because I know what kind of trouble that causes. So right now I'm scrolling. You'll see iRacing is just a black window because it doesn't have focus, and I'm looking for something good to listen to. What do I want to listen to this morning? Iron Maiden's greatest hits. Something that'll run for a while. Black Sabbath, Paranoid. Something that'll run for a while. Let me see if I've got a Steve Hackett playlist up here ready to go. I love heavy metal. I love Weird Al Yankovic. I love ABBA. I love progressive rock. I love Slayer. I love Stryper. I just love lots of music. But I think for this morning, I'll go with Steve Hackett. So, Return of the Giant Hogweeds, one of my favorite tracks from the Genesis era, and Steve Hackett redoes a lot of Genesis with his Genesis Revisited project. So now we've got that going. Let's get some focus on iRacing, and what we see right here now is Steve Daniels' Rick Motec World Challenge amateur class Ferrari entry. See back there the GTA decal for Rick Motec. That's GTAM, what the A stands for. And we have a GTP class for GT Pro. So anyway, I digress. On the left side of the screen, we have the default Ferrari model, which we will be turning into, as you can see, Jardier's Bathwater. The logo is definitely gigantic right now. The decal is for the lettering. I was looking for the font for Jarpedo, but this is just for fun. Don't want to spend an enormous amount of time on this paint. This is just something we're doing for fun, and I'm really only streaming it to show off a couple of techniques I use for when I'm doing this. And let's go ahead and bring the actions pane up in Photoshop. I use a lot of actions, as you can see, because my role within the Rick Motec Sports Car Championship, I have to process a lot of paints. We do a significant QA process because when we put these cars on track, we want to provide a professional experience to the viewer. So you're not only watching great racing, but you don't have a mishmash of WEC, IMSA, and SRO number plates and other decals on the cars. You have all the cars with a unified decal set. We even modified the spec maps because your iRacing creates a spec map. When you send a paint to us, though, you send in the TGA of the spec map, not the MIP file. And so you can modify that spec map. If it's submitted in a TGA, you can go ahead and place other color corrections on top of it. And it will not ruin the reflectiveness of the original paint or anything like that. And so that's how we do it. We have them send in their paint and their spec map, and then we apply our parts on top. And I use these quick actions to do it. And I've got one here called spec mapping that I use to quickly create default spec map layers. So your red and green spec map layers for a default paint that you would use, or a default layer that you would use, like a number plate that you want to have a standard reflectiveness and a standard material. They have to be certain colors, like your reflectiveness. The metallic red channel has to be 0000000, which is flat black. Then your roughness channel, or your green channel, needs to be a little higher than that. So you go to about a 15% brightness, which in RGB is going to be about 27, 27, 27. But instead of doing that over and over, I just create a group that's going to be that. Like, here's the IMSA car decal, right? Okay, so we take this, we create a copy of it, and then we just play the spec mapping, and pow. There you go. Now you've got your spec map layers that you drag up into, of course, the custom spec map group. But we're not going to do that just yet. So I've already created some text for Jardier's Bathwater. Again, this is just for fun, so I'm not worried about perfectly matching the font that the Jarpedo logo was in. But one thing I did do, and I have to thank Jardier. This has been a running joke in the Jardier community for a long time. If you're not watching Jardier race, you are missing out. Because this guy is not only ridiculously fast, he is so calm, cool, and collected. He can give an entire TED Talk while he's just out there whipping a very strong field. It's not like he's going out in low strength of field races. He is racing against some really high level competition. And he can tell you everything that's going on with his life, or certain aspects, or talk to you about positivity and how him and his girlfriend and their dog went places, and he never misses a beat. And it's so much fun, and being part of that community is so much fun. And there's a running gag about Jardier's Bathwater that I can't even remember how it got started, but I jumped on it. And it's even a command in his chat now. You do exclamation Bobby in the Jardier community chat, and it brings up a quote about how I'm after his bathwater. So I decided that it's time. Like, I'm wanting to get back into doing some public races on iRacing and build my iRating up. And I want to have fun while I'm doing it. And I think a great way to have fun would be to imagine that I'm sponsored by Jardier's Bathwater. I'm going after Jardier's Bathwater. And Jardier himself, Jaroslav Hanzik, he has such a great sense of humor about this, that he sent me the high-res version of the Jarpedo logo for me to create this. There's Jardier. Let's blow it up a little bit so you can see it really clearly. There's Jardier in his racing bathtub. You can see it's leaning forward because it's going fast. Even his bathtub is fast. You see the purple because we're going to make the car purple. We're going to do some highlights in it as well. But there's Jardier's Bathwater. And there's his big rubber ducky that he takes to the bath with him. And he bathes with his shirt on. Not at all because I'm too lazy to color correct that to make it look like he's not wearing a shirt. I'm just imagining he bathes with his shirt on. Maybe he's self-conscious about his body. Maybe he's a germaphobe. I don't know. He also keeps his racing gloves on. And he wears fingerless gloves as well because he's just that cool. Like even if you guys ever listen to The Lonely Island, you know, wearing fingerless gloves is a huge thing. You know, everybody started dancing. Boombox can save the world. And there's Jardier in his fingerless gloves saving the world in the bathtub. His high-speed bathtub that leans forward to show that it's fast. With his rubber ducky that is leaning backwards because it is being blown away by the wind at the same rate at which Jardier is being blown away by the wind of how fast his bathtub is. And it's full of his bathwater. Jardier's Bathwater guaranteed to take 2/10 off your lap time. So that's what we're after here, people. And that's what we're doing. So now we have the Jardier Bathwater logo, right? Here's our logo. And let's get into the paintable area here. And for now, let's turn off the Jardier's Bathwater text. Let's put this, let's start here over the base. And just to save file size, I'm not going to use any of these patterns. I'm going to delete them because we know we're not using them. So let's drag Jardier's Bathwater onto the Ferrari. And it might take a second. There we go. Newer version of Photoshop does not run as smoothly as I would like on this old PC. This is a very old PC. I've done lots of updates to it, hardware and everything. We're going to convert this logo to a smart object. Yep, this newer version of Photoshop has not been great for my PC. We'll call this layer Bathtub. And let's get the wireframe on. And let's make the wireframe to where it doesn't obscure what we're doing so much. So don't like that as much. Go and go with exclusion. That way it will always change its color, but we don't want it to be too much in our faces. Control ++, zoom that up a little bit. And we're going to have this on the doors. Definitely we're going to have that on the doors. Jardier's Bathwater. Now here's one thing I do like about the newer version of Photoshop. You can hold down the control key and actually select a layer now by clicking on it with the control key. Now maybe that was in some older versions of Photoshop, but I've got to be honest, I stayed with my version of CS3 forever, and it's only within the last year or so that I decided to get a cloud account and start updating Photoshop regularly. Because I was doing more and more work and there were more things in the newer versions of Photoshop that I needed to be able to have access to. So I finally said, you know what? Time to pay for Photoshop. So that's what we're doing. And we're still learning some things about it. Let's see. Let's get the logo down here. We don't want it ending up below the door at all. But we definitely want to keep it, you know, the size maximized as much as possible. Now this is going to be okay on the driver's side of the door, but on the passenger side of the car, you can see here from the wireframe, the door handle is probably going to be in the way a little bit. So we're going to have to account for that. on the other side of the car. We're gonna get a little creative. So, and there's my cats fighting, because this PC is in my bedroom. Oh, and I drug this thing further down than I want to. I think that's going to be okay right there. So now we have iRacing on this side. Let's hit our smart action for the Ferrari GT3 EVO, which goes through and saves it as a car number file, saves the spec map, turns certain layers on and off for us to make that happen. And that'll take a second to save, and it'll pop up in iRacing. Oh, come on. Update the spec map. There we go. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, so we can pull the logo down. I'm looking at the wireframe over here. That is not the bottom of the door. That's just a ridge. So let's pull the logo down just a little bit. We may have to shrink it. It's a little higher on the door than we want, but we already thought we might have to shrink it for the passenger side of the car. So, yeah. I'm okay with that height, but then the feet of the tub being below that ridge, I'm not okay with. And we already know we're going to have a problem with the passenger side of the car. So let's do this to make sure it's the... I'm a big fan of symmetry, so to make sure it's the same on both sides of the car, let's go ahead and move this to the passenger side of the car. Now, in order to do this more quickly, we'll go ahead and zoom back out. Let's rotate the layer. Come on now. Rotate 180 degrees. Bring it over to the passenger side. Zoom back in to 100%. All right, so we know what to look for on our wireframe at this moment. And it's kind of snapping around a little bit. I don't like that. So let's use our arrow keys to nudge it. And I think we're good. I don't think it's going to be in the door handle on the passenger side of the car. Let's take a look. Rotate our model around. So one thing I love that iRacing did is I no longer have to open a test session. Now, I wish they would let us choose while we're testing paints whether we want the SRO package or whether we want the IMSA package on the car with the number plates and the actual numbers rendering on the car. I wish they would let us specify that in the paint viewer, but they really did outdo themselves giving us this paint viewer. I'm very happy iRacing did that. So I think we will go ahead and shrink this just a little bit. Let's go and bump it down just to where the rear foot of the tub is touching the ridge. And now let's shrink it just a teeny bit. So we get the faucet out of the door handle, and we get the front of the tub away from the IMSA number plate just a little. Just a little, because once we change out from the IMSA number plate to the standard number plate, oh yeah, that standard number plate's just as big now. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. This isn't the old Ferrari with the little number plate. This is the new Ferrari with the big number plate. So let's go ahead and shrink the bathtub a little more. Just a teeny bit. Okay, but then again, here's another thing you can do to make sure you don't cover up anything. That if you want to do a scheme that works with both decal packages, which you can upload to Trading Paints that way now, which appreciate Steve and the guys at Trading Paints doing that. So let's move that one notch, and let's check and see how the car looks. It's going to look a little weird with all the decals turned on for both sanctioning bodies, but yeah, it's now an SRO GTD. Okay. So I think I can be comfortable actually moving the decal down a couple of notches based on how it looks against the ridge at the bottom of the car. So okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. All right, so make a copy now. Give it the full rotation. Zoom back out. Move her down here. Now, of course, we can line it up like that with the other logo, exactly identical on the sides of the car, but we don't really have to, do we? Nope. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that a little more space to the, not quite the center of the door, but closer to it. And we can actually bring it down just a couple notches too. Let's see how that looks. And I do this a lot. I even do this when I'm programming. I test constantly. I only make a couple of changes before I test. Couple of changes and test. Couple of changes and test. It's when you start, and same thing with setups. It's when you start taking big swings, whether you're programming, whether you're painting, whether you're trying to build a setup for a race or a series. It's the big swings are what get you. So always little swings, little swings. All right, so I'm liking that. Now, because of the way that iRacing does the roof now, I'm not going to put the logo on the roof, but I can put it right here. So we're also going to duplicate it there. So let's do that. Make another copy of the bathtub. And let's give it a 90. So ridiculous. Man, I gotta say again, I really do appreciate Jardier's sense of humor with this. I hope he likes the car. I kind of hope he wants to race it, honestly. I mean, it may just be my thing, but I'd love to send it to him and see it on Trading Paints and see him in a race with it. Jardier's Bathwater. And let's see, yeah, that part's going to break across right there, so it's going to have to come into here. So this is where we need to line up the top. And even though we've got our center arrow, you can see it's not actually on the center of our center line's not actually on the center of the wireframe there. Looks a lot better right there. So let's keep that as our center. We know we can only go down so far with this, because there's only so much space right here to put the rest of the decal. So put it at about right there. And I got a feeling we'll have to do some warping on the bottom part. Maybe we can actually expand that just a little bit. Yeah, let's blow it up just the littlest bit. There we go, just a small amount. All right, now we've got to make a copy of it, and generally, iRacing's done a pretty good job with the Ferrari over the years. This is, even though this is the EVO, it's very similar to the old template. They basically reused as much of the body as they could, and reused as much of the template as they could. So this part here, they did a really good job in minimizing the amount of warping you're going to experience in that section. So, like if you're doing a number plate that you want to have, like some of the older seasons of the WeatherTech series, this green number plate was actually up here in this section for some of the Ferraris. So, and I've duplicated that before, so that's how I know. Like I even have team logos there. Sometimes the American flag will be right there, and I have to break it apart. You know, part of it in one part, part of it in another part. I'm saying part a lot. Okay, so there's the midline. So that segment of the logo maybe bump up just a teeny bit. And let's see what we've got. So it breaks across pretty well right there. As you can see, it doesn't look too bad at all. There's the Bathwater. All right, so we're in business right there now. But then when we go to the SRO version, you know, let's turn off the IMSA decals. You know, what are we going to put on the hood here? You know, something, we kind of want something that will be covered up if, you know, we switch to IMSA, that we won't mind losing. So maybe I'll put a BC Racing Designs logo there later. I won't bore you guys with that level of detail as I go into getting the car together. So right now we're going to focus on placing the main Jardier Bathwater logos, which we've done, right? Okay. And now let's see how we want to paint this sucker. So the base, we definitely want purple. Even the Jarpedo logo, tons of purple, some gray in it. I don't think I'm going to do anything with the gray. I think I'm going to stick with the purple. So let's select that shade of purple there. And one thing the newer version of Photoshop does is it flip-flops your layers sometimes when you're just doing coloration like that. And not the biggest fan of that, but you know, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. So now we have the nice purple Jardier's Bathwater. Let's see how that looks. I'm thinking I want to go with a slightly darker purple for the actual base color. Yeah, it's a little pinkish. So let's get a darker purple going. Come on. So yeah, maybe there. Okay. All right. There we go, a little darker purple. I'm liking that. And so one thing I think I want to do, next we're going to put the text on the fenders. So let's do that. Let's get the text on the fenders. And then I think we'll just do some simple curve designs, but not have them actually in the paint. We'll just have them in the spec map. And we'll flatten the base out a little bit, make it a little matte. That way the spec map parts of the chrome style that we really want to reflect out of the circles, they'll just be the same color, but they'll stand out a lot better. So, and I think we want to leave the wing and mirrors black. I think we're going to paint this part of the skirt black too before we're done. So, all right, so let's get on that. And we'll use black for, but we won't use a flat black for this part. I don't like using flat black on a paint. It's kind of non-realistic. You're not going to really see that deep dark black in real life. So we've got that. Let's bring Jardier's Bathwater back down here by the bathtub. And just to get ready for our eventual spec mapping, let's go ahead and create a group here. And we'll just call it logos. And that way we can quickly create a spec map for these things later when we're ready. All right, so Jardier's Bathwater right now is gigantic. But I left it as a shape. I converted the text to a shape so we can modify it as much as we want. So we even have the capability to change the direction and the amount that it's raising as it is. It's a flag effect via Photoshop warping, which I thought kind of fit the goofiness of what we're doing here a little bit. And I'm kind of thinking now as I see this, I want it to warp even further. So we're about 49.7%. Let's just to be symmetrical, let's go ahead and manually call that 45, right? All right, so now let's open our warp tool. And, oh, why did it go custom? Come on. Oh boy, okay, so I see what happened. It didn't save as a smart object with the things we were doing. I'm actually going to have to recreate this for the other side of the car now. Yep. Going to have to recreate this for the other side of the car. Oops. But you know what? That's fine. That's fine. We have the technology. We can do that. So, let's just create a text layer here. If we can spell it properly. So let's start that over there, because we lost part of it off the screen. And you'll have to pardon me, I'm fat fingering it a little bit. Let's white that out. And we'll convert this to a shape. And let's warp it. And this time we're going to do the flag effect again. But we're going on the other side of the car, so let's do that. Let's make sure it looks okay. This should look how we want it to. And I'm still on text layer. I do that sometimes. Get back to our movement tool. And no, that was not the direction we wanted to go for the other side of the car. So Bobby made a boo-boo. All right, let's see if it's going to let us No. So it saved it like that. So let's back up a few steps. So now we've converted it. We're back to convert to shape. And now let's warp it. Now we'll rotate it around. And bring it to the other side of the car. And I believe the other side we scaled to 45. And that should do it. All right, let's see what we're looking like. Yes, as ridiculous as I had hoped. Yes, perfectly ridiculous. Yes, Jardier's Bathwater. We're all about it. We're all about it here. Let's give that side a little bit of a rotation. How about that? Yeah, a little bit of rotation won't hurt it. But let's make a copy before we rotate it. And we'll turn that off and keep it in reserve. Just a little bit. Okay. Maybe just a little more. And I think based on the other side, we actually need to bring it down to the fender a little bit now that we've gotten it rotated a little bit. All right. Jardier's Bathwater. It's coming together. God, I'm so stupid. Okay. Well, maybe we'll just put the Jardier's Bathwater text right there in white and let the IMSA logo cover it up when we run IMSA. The IMSA number plate. Yeah, because we can put Bathwater here, a little Bathwater there. Bathwater everywhere. Maybe. We'll see. Because the Pirelli logos will go down there. We'll have to import them because they don't... iRacing didn't bring in the Pirelli logos for their quote-unquote SRO decal package. So... and I may end up putting my standard BCR Designs decals up here, but like I said, that'll be something that I do later if I do it. So for now, because I don't want this stream to go forever. This is just a kind of idea of how I do things. Plus, you know, we're painting a goofy car, just having some fun today. We rarely have fun in paint shop anymore. Because I'm always busy with, you know, league stuff and team stuff. So it's nice to once in a while break Photoshop open to paint a funny car again. Because I've got several ideas just waiting in my Google tasks to one day get to. But right now, just not sure when I ever will. All right, so let's start cutting in some designs. So I kind of want a swoopy curve thing, almost the same, like almost the same as the Bathwater decal right there, right? So, oh my god, I hate this. I hate how they put those little preview panels up there. Like it's the old Microsoft paperclip thing again, you know? Just no, I already know that that's what that tool does. Don't give me a little preview. All you're doing there is wasting my resources and my time, Photoshop. Let me be. So, how do we want this curve to go? All right, let's start it right about there. And I don't see where my mark went. There it is. Holy crap, it's invisible. All right, so we start as a triangle. Oh, come on, guy. Why do you want to do that to me? Bring that up off of that a little bit. Put a point here and bring it down to create a little bit of a curve. Point there, same thing. Bring it down a little bit, create a little bit of a curve. Come on now. Quit messing with me, Photoshop. Bring... Photoshop is really giving me a lot of trouble right now. Let's bring that further out. Bring the midpoint of that curve out a little bit. Bring the midpoint of this curve out, part of the curve out a little bit. Maybe bring this back down a teeny bit. All right. Bring this midpoint back in just a little bit. Let's check it out. All right, so now go ahead and bring a copy of this shape over here to the back of the car. All right. Okay, so let's bring that up a little more. And we're going to end up bringing the other side of the shape down a little bit, I think. Because we kind of want it to look like it's flowing together a little bit. Oh yeah. Okay, and maybe bring it back a little bit too. So it doesn't quite look so gigantic compared to the other part. Right. All right, so now let's see about doing the same thing on the front fender here. Do we dare bring the same part again? I say we do. I say we dare. But let's rename this from shape 1 copy to shape 2. We'll call this shape 3 to specify where it is too, so we don't lose it. All right, so let's bring shape 3 for the nose. Let's drag it on up. Keep an eye on it in the preview window, which I think you guys can't see. All right, so yeah, it's going to need to rotate a bit to match what we want to do on the front. Luckily, it's a shape, so doing that is no big deal. You don't lose any of the detail of the shape in doing that. See, that's going to bring that up there. I don't really want it up there. I just kind of want it in the fender. Let's rotate it back a little bit. There we go. Right. Now, we do, however, oh, come on, Photoshop, quit messing with me. Oh, why, Photoshop? Why are you doing this to me today? It is totally not letting me reselect. See, now it let me cut that out, but it's not letting me reselect my anchor points to move them. There we go, finally, bro. But it's not highlighting them as it should. A little bit of an issue. All right, so now that we take a look at it rendered, it's actually a little higher than I would want it to be. So let's nudge it on down a little bit. And that back out a teeny bit. Let's preview. Like, and I'm almost thinking that that would just look good being black, period. But that's not what we're hoping to accomplish. So let's focus on this side of the car just to see what we're going to end up with. All right. Let's create a layer for these. We're going to call it our spec. And let's go and spec map a little bit. So we'll duplicate this. We'll merge it. And turn off the other one. Okay. Now let's drag it up into the custom spec map. All right, so it's already 0 there, so we're fine because we don't want any roughness on it. So now up into the red channel, which that's not how you set it. I'm just doing that side. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do this. So what I typically do is I'll go ahead and color the entire folder. Red and green helps give me a visual recognition of what's going on here. We want to increase the metallic. We want to increase the reflection on this layer. So at present, it's actually black, and we're going to make it solid white, which technically will be way too much, because what happens when you do that's a full chrome effect, full reflectiveness, and it actually darkens up the color a lot sometimes. So let's start with about 2/3 brightness, 66% there. All right. So now on the roughness, let's just matte it up a little bit. Let's matte the base color up, and we won't need that much to establish a solid matte. Let's go with about 44%. And we won't change anything yet right there. We're also not going to make any corrections at the moment for the decal sets. We'll just go ahead and turn those off for the moment. And let's check out what we've got. Come on, spec map. Waiting on you. Oh, there we go. So now we've got like a velvet matte finish. With the chrome reflectiveness going on there. So let's go ahead and increase that chrome. How about that? Bumping on up to, let's go on up to 80%. How about that? Let's give that a try. Increase that reflectiveness. Nice. Kind of thinking maybe a little black shadow up under there might help. Let's see. So let's turn this back on. Let's do this. Go to blending options. And let's turn the fill opacity to 0. Do a drop shadow. Make it normal. Size, we don't want that to expand it too much. We want our opacity at 100. Let's also take that away from being absolute flat black. And there we go, 90, I think is what we're looking for there. Now that's not going to work right on the rear layer, so I may have to change how we're applying this, but let's at least get a look at it. Yeah, that may be the ticket. That may be the ticket. I kind of like that. I want a bigger black layer though right there. And I just remembered that on our base, it is indeed at 141212, and to really get rid of any of the roughness of it, it needs to be at absolute 0. So let's get rid of all the rest of the roughness out of that layer. Okay. And maybe let's darken up the purple a little more. Porky, hey man, good to see you. It's 4:30 a.m. where you are. Wow. Yeah, I don't have chat up because all of my monitors are taken up by when I'm painting. So I've got chat on my phone, which is nearly dead. So if you, I don't know how long ago you chatted that. Oh, I caught you quick. Okay, good, good, good. All right, so maybe even darker. Let's go darker. Let's really enjoy a deep dark purple. Ooh, that may be too much, but let's try it anyway. Oh man, I've been up for good grief. Let's see, it's 10:30. I've been up for 5 hours already. I've already been to the grocery store, done a load of dishes, cooked breakfast, and I'm painting this goofy race car. What do we think? What do we think? Maybe too dark with that? Yeah, maybe too dark. Let's go back just a teeny bit. Let's back it up just the teeniest bit. And let's copy this layer style. Clear the layer style over the group. And now let's paste the layer style there instead. All right. So now this will give us a chance to really tweak that and get it going across the back as well. So let's get it. Yeah, there we go. Good distance. So now we'll copy that layer, paste it to these. But for the one in the back, let's change the light angle. Nope. Actually, yes, there we go. 180. 180 is good. All right. Okay, now it should look the way we want it to look there. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Porky. This is what I've been doing for a long time in iRacing. What do you think of the logo there? You think of Jardier with his little rubber ducky in his super fast leaning bathtub. He's still got his shirt on too. Still got his shirt on in the tub and his fingerless gloves. Because that's just how Jardier rolls, right? Taking a bath with his shirt on. So all right, so I am liking that on the base. It's simple. Let's change the flatness a little bit there though of the overall paint. Let's see if we give it just a little reflectiveness. How that helps. We don't want that much. Let's give it a 20%. Give it a 20% metallic. Let's see how that changes things up. All right, come on. Give me my new spec map. All right, so I do kind of like that a little bit. But let's bring that down. Let's bring that down to like 15%. And let's bring the matte down a little bit too. Let's give that a try. So yeah, I hope anyone watching this is understanding that there is indeed a method to the madness of how iRacing does spec maps. And there are a lot of key things that have been figured out about how to make the spec maps do certain things. But for me, a lot of it is in trial and error. When you're trying to go into like brushed metal and really velvet mats and stuff like that. And that's part of the fun too of putting together a custom paint where you're not just constantly copying and pasting everything you did for other paints. Because I think we're also going to take this swoosh design, this reflectiveness in the swoosh, and we're also going to put it on the hood. Right? So, oh yeah, I like that. Look, it's got a nice gloss satin sheen to it. And then you got the highly reflective chrome bits there that just, even though it's the same color, they just really pop out. Yes, I'm liking that. All right, so now to add a little method to the madness, let's go ahead and say we're gonna race Jardier's Bathwater and IMSA. Okay, so let's do our spec map for IMSA. So we got a copy now, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it over the red channel and the green channel. And this is where we start making it customizable for ourselves. So let's put it in a folder. And we're just going to call it IMSA. And I like to give these different colors for the different parts that they're going to be. And now we're going to hit our spec map quick action. That copies the layers out and puts them in place the way they need to be. Gives them the proper color. and actually changes them whether they're showing the red channel or the green channel. It's such a time saver. Okay, so now let's do the same thing with the logos. Okay, so let's make a copy of the logos. Let's merge the group, and we'll drag it up here. Now this time, we're going to put it in a folder. And I'm going to change this to gray, because for me, when I change it to gray like that in the spec map, that means that's a part I'm never turning off. This is not part of a customizable paint. These are required decals, like for the sponsor or whatever. So now we're going to have our spec map quick action again. And eventually it will run. There we go. And we'll just go ahead and collapse that. Now let's go back to our Ferrari, because we don't want to double spec map that. So let's remember to go back to our Ferrari quick action. And now let's check it out. So now we're getting our IMSA stuff on the car. And you can see it has the proper reflectiveness, the proper material, as do our logos. Look at that, they're not flat anymore. Even when they overlay the chrome area, they show up, the Michelin Man back there, they show up in the proper way. So it looks like a decal that was indeed pressed over the paint job or the paint wrap, depending on how, a real life team may put their car together. Most of them do wraps these days. So anyway, this is about the gist of it. If I were to sit here with you and entirely paint this car, we would be here for hours. And we're not going to be here for hours. Bobby's got other things to do. I am going to get this car finished this weekend. But I do have other things that I need to get done. So we're going to call this right here. And I hope this gives a good insight into how I work within Photoshop a little bit, how I paint cars. Maybe a little bit, maybe someone gleans a little bit about doing spec maps out of here, or it's like, hey, I never knew I could use quick actions in Photoshop. Or even, you're just a Jardier community member, and you want, to make sure that, you see the Jardier's Bathwater logo, that you want to make fun of Jardier taking a bath with his shirt on. However you like to enjoy life, whatever. But we are going to get this paint finished up, and once it is completely done, we're going to send it to Jardier, make sure it has his stamp of approval, and then maybe even load a public version to Trading Paints for Jardier community members to go grab, so they can have fun racing for Jardier's Bathwater. So anyway, Porky, I'm glad you showed up. I hope some more Jardier community members find this stream. And I hope everyone that does watch this has a good time. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and cut this off. In fact, I'm going to jump into Jardier's stream right now to chat a little bit. Wish him good luck. They are doing Jimmy Broadbent's Race for Mental Health. If at the time you see this, that stream is still up, please go donate. It's for a great cause. But anyway, that's it here. And we will talk to you guys next time. Sayonara.